If you will go to the lowest point the law will allow, then the law is the only thing stopping you from going lower. And you will not be able to convince me otherwise of that.
Non-apologetic nonsense.
All right, this is going to be a weird one. There's a pattern of behavior I think needs discussed and called out. For example, it's been about a week ago. I was at a gathering and I ran into an old acquaintance of mine, this dude. Haven't seen him in years. He's considerably older than me. I'd say he's 47 to 49. So he is there with his girlfriend of the past year. He introduces her to me. This girl is 19. Bear in mind, I'm pretty sure he's 49. So I'm sitting here looking at this abomination of a couple, and he starts describing to me how this is his soulmate, right? This is the woman he will spend the rest of his life with. But to me, this guy is nothing more than a pedo. And I'll explain why, and I know this is going to ruffle a lot of feathers, so here we go. If you're a grown man and you will go the lowest the law will allow as far as age, then the law is the only thing stopping you from going lower. I'm talking you will go all the way to the first day it's legal. And then you'll celebrate it, right? Like you've done something good. Well, the law is the only thing stopping you from going lower. So how much lower, right? I'm looking at this guy, and if you're in your mid-40s and you'll go all the way down to 18, how low do you really want to go? 17? 16? You know, because let's be honest, when you're grown, even me at my age, a 16-year-old and 18-year-old, they look the same. You know, I'm sick of this defense where when this girl went to sleep the night before her 18th birthday, no, I'm not attracted to her. She's a child. And then when she wakes up at 6 a.m. on her 18th birthday, you're ringing her phone and you're looking over at me like, bro, I gotta bang her, man. No, there's no difference in appearance, in actions, in anything. If you go the lowest the law will allow, we need to check your hard drive. I absolutely hate these kind of dudes. And like I say, we need to normalize calling them out. You know what really put this problem as being such a huge thing on a main stage was OF, right? What was that bush pig of a girl? She was on a reality Catch Me Outside. How about that? That girl, right? The day she turned 18, if memory serves, like the hour, she launched an OnlyFans, right? And the girl ended up making like $1 million plus in sales at least her first month. That kind of shows how many people fall underneath this pedo umbrella. And that's exactly what it is. So let's call it what it is, you know? Plus, let's talk about the OF thing. If a girl starts an OF at midnight when she turns 18, guess what? Those pictures were taken previously, right? You got to set up the shoots. You got to take the photos, you know, and vain girls like that, they definitely need to be heavy edited. All those things take time. So if the clock strikes midnight and there's content there, well, I would say you're not getting what you're wanting, but the type of dude who's going for that is probably getting exactly what he's wanting, right? It's sad. And I hate this excuse of the law. It's legal. It's legal. Because the law, you know, there's moral and then there's the law, right? Like other countries, for example. In other countries, it's completely legal to go a lot lower, you know. Maybe in some countries, you can go down to 12. There's some countries even lower. I mean, we're talking single digits here. So if you're in that country, do you say, oh, it's legal here? Or do you say, I don't care what the law says, that's a child and that's disgusting? Because that's how I feel about the laws in our country. If you're a grown-ass man and your girlfriend or your partner's age ends in teen, you are a pedo to me. I don't care what the law says. I'm talking about what's right and what's wrong, what's a child and what's an adult. And you'll hear a lot of other excuses like, this is what my grandfather used to do, and this was completely normal, and they would grab a 15, you know, or whatever. But I don't really think our country, the U.S., is the best barometer of what's right when you look into older laws, right? I mean, in our country, women, black people used to not even be able to vote. What was that thing? 2/3 of a person or a third of a person is what we call black people. Judging by that same logic, should we use that to treat them like less of people? Because that's what our great-grandfathers did, so it must be right? No. And a lot of these girls are weird too, because we all went through this phase when we were like 18, 19, 20, where you just wanted freedom, so you would put up with situations you probably otherwise wouldn't have just to have that freedom, get out of mommy and daddy's grasp, so to speak. Like when I was like 18, I moved into a spare bedroom of a dude's house who I worked with at the time. I was working at a pizza shop. And this house was gross. I mean, we could spend a whole episode talking about how gross it was. I had to shampoo and alcohol, shampoo the carpets, alcohol the floor. Like I had to disinfect that room. And it was such to the point that when people would come over, they would literally plug their mouth and nose until they would get through the front door and then through my bedroom door, right? But you didn't think much of it at the time because you're okay with putting up with a lot of these weird situations. And I think that's the same thing for a lot of guys. They grab these young girls that they can take advantage of, and then hopefully they don't grow out of the phase. This whole situation just gives me the willies. I got the little tanglies underneath the skin. And what's even crazier is how many people are going to defend this behavior. There are so many grown women in this country. I just will never understand how you want to grab that girl who 2 weeks ago was mommy's little darling. That's your mate. How do you feel good about that? How do you wake up the next day and go, high five, guess what I did? It's like, nah, what you did was a violation. And you should be violated for it. We always read about these teachers, right? There's at least 2 or 3 in my area of Missouri every year who, like women, they'll be, it's not just guys who do this. Women do it as well. It'll be like beautiful women teachers in like their 30s. And they're having like threesomes with like 5th graders. Where does this come from? Where does this desire even come from? Because I don't want to be graphic, but there's no way, most adult men probably can't satisfy her. Like, what are we talking about here? And I think it all has to do with this obsession with the youth. We want to look young, talk young, dress young, act young. But when that desire to stay young morphs into this weird sexual caveat, is there any coming back from that? And I know the argument will be made of like, is it weird from the other perspective, like from the young girl's perspective being attracted to the dude? And I think there's some weirdness there, but not in the same way, because naturally you being attracted to someone older isn't a bad thing, right? There was this girl I dated in my 20s, right? We were both the same age. I think we were like 24, 25, 26, something like this, right? This girl was a whore. And I don't mean that in like a disrespectful way. I mean, I would find out all these little pieces. Eventually, I found out the whole puzzle. But like, she would put ads up and she would go and clean like these old men's house nude. And of course, if they paid her enough money, well, she's going to do everything with them, I didn't know this at the time. This was my girlfriend, who I cared deeply for, by the way. There was something, like I say, when you look back and you see the whole thing, the way she would look at older men. I remember one exact time. I even remember where we were. We were eating at Buffalo Wild Wings. Reason I remember where we were eating is I ordered boneless wings because we were on a date. I didn't want to, get all gross. And I remember her calling me a pussy. Only pussies get boneless wings. Anyways, 2 dudes walk by us. These dudes must have been in their 70s, and I see her eyes absolutely light up. And I'm just like, what is it? Like, what is this? Did you not have a dad? Is this one of those weird things? What is this obsession with these senior citizen men? She looked at me dead in my eyes and says, old men can fuck. Me being a young lad at this time, I remember for whatever reason, that cut me deep, right? It has stuck with me for the last 10 years, that actually cut me deep, especially when it winded up being an old man around 70 who was our downfall. There was this guy, he ran a local business, right? He's known me since I was a kid, and everyone knew that this guy got prostitutes, right? Because he would show you Polaroids, right? Look at this hoo-ha, And I think the woman he married was actually a prostitute. But anyway, so me and this same girl, we pull up to that business. I'm going to run in and grab something. And she is super adamant. She is super adamant about not coming in. I didn't really think much of it. And right when I walked in, I looked at that dude and I'm like, no. So I finished my business in there, and then me and her go back to the house and I confront her. And one thing, when she was caught, she would be honest. And she explained to me that for years, for like 5 years, he had been paying her to blow him or bang, you know? And that was crazy. Like, I, of course, could not look at that old man the same. And that was when I had to just get rid of the girl, but not before we sit down and had a conversation. And she's like, it's not just the money, it's the power, it's the control I have over these older men who are not satisfied with their spouse or their situation in life or whatever. I tried giving her some advice. We did link up a few years later and talk, and I don't think she took it, but she was looking at it, the short sheets, right? She was like, oh, they'll pay my rent or maybe my car note or give me a little bit of money or buy me a bag or, you know, whatever. But I'm like, look, you're not going to be young and beautiful forever. If you are going to go down this weird, dark path, get something real. You know, these men have businesses, get stocks, get a position at the company, get something that's tangible. So when they ultimately kick you back to your mama's couch and quit paying that rent and you're left with no job experience, nothing for the past several years, you know, at least you have something to show. I don't think she took that advice, but my kind of thought even back then was if this guy's going to be a pedo, and for whatever reason she was okay with that, like, you might as well get something out of it. Because, like, she said she first started messing with him when she was like 18, 19, and he would have been like 65, you know. I don't know. This whole situation is weird. And it's in like every avenue. Like, I can't even go something simple like go to a game shop and buy a game without seeing like, I don't quite understand what it is. They call it like MAGA or manga. And it's like these Japanese statues. I think they're cartoons. I don't really know. But these girls literally look like they're 5. But they're, you know, big, stuck out boobs and dressed scantily clad. And I remember asking a dude in Joplin, I was like, do these actually sell? And he's like, man, we can't keep them on the shelf. You know, so I don't know if this starts out of desperation or if it's some sort of primal thing. But with all the women in the world, if you will go to the lowest point the law will allow, then the law is the only thing stopping you from going lower. And you will not be able to convince me otherwise of that. But yeah, we just need to call these dudes out. This should not be normalized in society. And one last thing, if you disagree with me, you're a pedo. Peace.